Hari Om. A very warm namaste to one and all. Cleanliness is next to godliness. Every one of us has heard this phrase since our childhood. We all understand the importance and necessity of keeping our surroundings clean and protect our environment for a safe and healthy living. All living beings subsist on food, and therefore it is essential for all of us to respect it. The chapter 3, verse 14 of Karma Yoga of the Bhagavad Gita also says, अन्नाद् भवन्ति भूतानि पर्जन्यादन्न संभवः यज्ञाद् भवति पर्जन्यः यज्ञकर्म समुद्भवः. Food is the life of all beings, and all food comes from the rain above. Yajna brings the rain from heaven, and yajna is sacred action. Today, our interview session focuses on the Bhuta Yajna aspect of Panchamahayajnas, the 5 daily worships and duties. Bhuta Yajna emphasizes on worshipping our environment, offering the needful to all the living beings, plants, animals, etc., and protecting them. I now invite Spandana to deliver the Shanti Mantra. Spandana, over to you.
शुक्लां भरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
Thank you, Spandana. On the auspicious occasion of Gurudev Jayanti, which was celebrated yesterday, we at Chinmaya Mission Koramangala pay our respect and obeisance to our Puja Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda ji. Born on 8th May 1916 in Kochi, Kerala, Swamiji is one of the most world-renowned and revered exponent of Vedanta. A graduate in law and English literature, he was spiritually awakened through Swami Tapovanji Maharaj's tutelage and grace. His teachings are based on the authority of the Vedas and his personal experience. Gurudev's main aim has been to spread Vedantic knowledge to the masses. Ms. Parinita will now chant the Guru Paduka Stotram to mark this auspicious occasion and seek Gurudev's blessing. Over to you, Parinita.
Hari Om everyone. Ananta samsara samudratara naukayitabhyam guru bhaktidabhyam vairagya samrajada pujanabhyam namo namah shri guru padukabhyam kavitvavarashi shakharabhyam Thaurbhagyadavam Budamalikabhyam Durikrutanam Ravipattatibhyam Namo Namah Shri Guru Padukabhyam Natayayo Shri Patitam Samiyu Kadachidapya Sudharidravaryaham Mukascha vachaspatitam hitabhyam Namo Namah Shri Guru Padukabhyam Nalikanikashapadahrutabhyam Nana Vimoha Dinivarikabhyam Namajjanabhishtatapti Pradhabhyam Namo Namah Shri Guru Padukabhyam रूपालिमौलिव्रजरत्नकान्ति सरेद्विराजदृशकन्यकाभ्यां नृपत्वदाभ्यां नतलोकपङ्क्ते नमो नमः श्रीगुरुपादुकाभ्यां पापान्धकारार्कपरम्पराभ्यां तापत्रयाहीन्द्रखगेश्वराभ्यां चूढ्याभिसंशोषणवाडवाभ्यां नमो नमः श्रीगुरुपादुकाभ्यां समाधिषट्कप्रदवैभवाभ्यां समाधिदानव्रतदीक्षिताभ्यां रमाधवाङ्घ्रिस्थिरभक्तिधाभ्यां नमो नमः श्रीगुरुपादुकाभ्यां स्वाचापराणामखिलेष्टधाभ्यां स्वाहा सहाय क्षदुरन्धराभ्यां स्वाताञ्च भावप्रदपूजनाभ्यां नमो नमः श्रीगुरुपादुकाभ्यां कामादिसर्पव्रजगारुढाभ्यां विवेकवैराग्यनिधिप्रदाभ्यां बोधप्रदाभ्यां धृतमोक्षधाभ्यां नमो नमः श्रीगुरुपादुकाभ्यां नमो नमः श्रीगुरुपादुकाभ्यां हरि ओम्।
Thank you, Parinita, for the wonderful rendition. Today, we at Chikkolmangala are quite enthralled among us to have a very eminent personality, Dr. Shanti Tumala, a doctor turned environmentalist who has been keen in bringing about a drastic change in the city with regard to cleanliness of our environment and surroundings. With her continuous passion and hard work, she has been instrumental in successful segregation of solid waste in HSR Bangalore. Dr. Shanti has been working tremendously for over a decade with great commitment in this area. Along with her grit in implementing this environmental protection drive, she is today an inspiration for many and has become a role model for all the women, being a spotlight for women empowerment too. I now request Komal to give a brief introduction about our guest, Dr. Shanti Tumala. Over to you, Komal.
Hari Om. It is my pleasure to introduce our guest for today, Dr. Shanti Tumala. Volunteers do not necessarily have the time, they just have the heart. Dr. Shanti Tumala was a dentist by profession for 10 years when she started volunteering for various social causes. She was moved by the plight of the Paurakarmikas working with mixed garbage and people living around landfills who suffered from the contaminated soil, air, and water due to mixed waste. This made her give up her profession to become a social activist and work towards a sustainable and plastic-free environment, as she felt her presence was more needed in waste management. Waste management is one of the biggest challenges for cities and municipalities. She is the founder of the organization HSR Citizen Forum, where many like-minded volunteers join hands with her to bring the change. She, along with her team, has done a lot of work related to waste management for her neighborhood HSR layout. With their combined efforts, HSR layout has reached around 95% segregation level and was successful in implementing a plastic ban even before the government announced it. She has been a part of many campaigns like Trashonomics, segregation, composting, sustainable menstruation, plastic ban, etc., many of which she has been leading from the front line. She has been a key person in setting up Swachhagrahya Kalika Kendra, a one-of-a-kind composting learning centers in India. She has won many prestigious awards such as the Nada Prabhu Kempe Gowda Award, Women Achievers Award 2019, and many more for her work in leading waste management initiatives in a residential area and her efforts in spreading this practice across Bangalore and other places. She has spoken in many TED Talks to inspire and encourage more people to join social services. Thanks to her untiring work, in HSR alone, more than 25,000 kg of solid waste is being kept away from landfill. She believes in replicating successful models for sustainable living in other places too, not only in Bangalore, but even in Telangana. All that she strives for is for a clean and sustainable environment that is safe for us to live in. As her son, I have been inspired by her determination to achieve her goals and her selflessness to work, even during the pandemic, to replicate the waste management model in Telangana. Come, let us learn from Dr. Shanti on how to pursue goals bigger than you with determination and self belief.
Thank you, Komal. That was indeed inspiring. We shall also be having an interactive session where Dr. Shanti will take up questions and queries from the audience. Taking this as an excellent opportunity for all of us, let us start this session with the blessings of the Almighty, our Pujya Gurudev and Pujya Swami Brahmananda. Now, let us move forward to the much awaited interview session. Dr. Shanti will be interviewed by Mr. Arjun and Mr. Hasan. Over to you.
Hari Om everyone. Namaste Dr. Shanti Amma. Hope you're doing well. We are most excited to hear about you and the way you make this world a better place.
Hari Om Shantiji. As it is said, childhood is the most beautiful of all of life's seasons. Dr. Shanti, could you please tell us about your childhood? Can you tell us about if there were any specific instances which you could think of that shaped your passion?
Hari Om everyone. This is an excellent opportunity for me to interact with the chicks and address and awaken the need. What is that we have to do? This is a very interesting bunch of listeners. I feel it's always like I'm excited to speak to this age because they have a lot of potential to bring the change. So any day when I'm addressing this age group, students or the youth, I feel more excited because I see the impact very soon, I feel. So coming to the question, yeah, my childhood was in Bellary. So I was with my grandparents. Not much related incidences which changed, which helped me in this, passion. But two things I can relate to my childhood and now what I'm doing. One is the patriotism which our PT sir has inculcated in us. What it takes for us to feel for the nation which you are living in, which you are being born. That patriotism, do whatever it takes for the country. It is above all of us. That patriotism was inculcated, and I can relate that to whatever work I'm doing now. The second thing is in my childhood, taking initiatives. Whatever it is, when an opportunity is present, I would grab that opportunity. From the childhood, that has been my thing to grab the opportunity, be it a class people leader, school people leader, or giving a commentary in the ground for the cricket which is being played by between seniors and juniors. Just grab every opportunity was my childhood habit, which helped me now for this drive which I'm doing. That leadership skills maybe have come from my childhood. So the students now usually they step back when asked, who want to do this. I expect everyone to inculcate that from childhood. Otherwise, it will never come. You will expect someone else to do it, but you want to step back and be there. So these childhood opportunities had, brought that boldness to take any challenge and just do it. Yeah.
That's very interesting, Amma. Like they say, we are the seeds of future that are nurtured in our childhood. So we wonder if your goals were, intended towards becoming an environmentalist since your childhood, or how did your education drive you in this regard?
As I tell, there are three things. One is if your goal is to become, let's say, environmentalist or a doctor or an engineer or a pilot, scientist, whatever. If your goal is towards that, your education will be towards that in that subject, right? Second thing, even if your goal is not that, maybe later you feel the passion to do it, whether it is service or whether it is planting, whatever. If it's your passion, you go towards that. The third thing is there is a purpose, even need. So for me, it was neither education which has taught me how to serve for the environment, because that is not the subject which I have learned at all. I had to struggle, face the challenges in every day and find out solutions. My subject is not environment at all. I was not passionate to work in waste management either. I'm sure nobody will be passionate to work in garbage. But one incident in my life has changed my direction from what I have studied, and to work day in and day out, put my heart and soul and work on waste management. So I was sitting in a balcony and having a cup of coffee. I saw a garbage auto passing through my house, and a person is standing in the auto in the mixed garbage and trying to pick something. Till then, usually, all of us, I'm sure, the thought will never come, where is my waste going? What is it, landing up into? But that day, something pinched me. That guy is standing in the garbage and trying to pick something. I try to understand what is he picking. He's trying to pick the dry waste, the bottles, whatever fetches him little peanuts of money. And then that was a seed which was there. After a few days, I followed the auto and saw where is it going. All the autos went and dumped into a big vehicle called compactor. And one day I followed this compactor in my two-wheeler, and not more than 15 kilometers, it went and dumped in an area. Along with that vehicle, there are 15 more vehicles standing in queue to dump the garbage there. And to my shock, it was a college very close by to that dump yard, and there are students who are studying there. And then later I visited Mandur, which is a landfill, and that changed my life. That incident has changed. What is education if you cannot, bring down that, misery in people? We are causing the misery. We are the problem creators. Why can't we be the solution, seekers? So education has no meaning if we cannot do that, I felt. So that was a reason. It was so. To the question, it was not education which has led me to this thing. I studied something else, my expertise in something else, but this is a purpose which drives me in the need. I can say the need that I am supposed to be here.
Very inspiring, ma'am. Coming to your choices, a doctor is set to serve people by healing them, whereas an environmentalist is set to serve the people by healing the environment. What made you choose healing the environment over healing people?
So I consider, prevention is better than cure. So if I'm a dentist, maybe a few patients with pain will come to me. But if I'm not there, if I'm not practicing, that patient will not stay with the pain. Definitely, he will search for another doctor who can cure him. But this garbage is also directly related. Environment per se is directly related to the health of human beings. So today, if you see the landfill, I'm sure many of you must not have visited landfill anytime in your life, but it is a must-see site. This is where our garbage used to land up, Mandur. Mandur is a beautiful village near Bangalore. So all the garbage, Bangalore generates around 6,000 tons of garbage per day. 6,000 tons, metric tons. So each ton is 1,000 kgs. So see the heap of garbage and the liquid there, you see the leachate, that is what is contaminating the underground water table, the soil, the air we breathe, everything. So if you see this picture, burning of garbage, that releases dioxins. And all the health issues today are majorly because of two things. One is environment and the climate change. Second is the food we eat. So even the baby in the womb of a mother is facing the brunt of this pollution what we humans are creating. So what I felt is environment and health are directly related, isn't it? So you all agree, I think. We may not know, staying in the house comfortably, we may not even imagine how a landfill looks like. So when I visited landfill and saw the misery of people around, that changed my life. The students, the small children there are suffering. And, for my shock, I heard that Mandur, men were not getting married because no parent wants to send her girl to that place. That made me think, what are we doing? All the educated people sending the mixed garbage and the villagers have to suffer. If we think villagers are suffering, no. It is indirectly we are also suffering. When underground water table contaminates, we are also consuming that water. And I have noticed many of the my friends' children have asthma problem because of burning garbage near Belandur. So all this made me think, healing a patient, with pain is, less important than to save this generation, which is coming with a hope into this world, that, life will be happy and, life is beautiful. So I thought this is a much needed space of waste management, but very less people choose this. Because we may not have any monetary benefits. If I'm a dentist, I can earn money, but this is something which you're doing as a service, not many will choose. So I felt to be here and heal people indirectly.
This is something that we all need to think about, Amma. I think we do our part sitting at home and make sure that we don't contribute much to the troubles of the world. But I think we all need to introspect more and see what is leading to our actions also. So can you tell us if there was somebody who inspired you in this journey, Amma? Did you see anybody who was in the same path and get inspired by them?
There were, many. When I came to this waste management life, I knew nobody in this field. It was just a thought that provoked, and I felt I must be here. But there's no one who could help me, who could guide me, because I didn't know whom to approach, and it was all learning by failures. I started, addressing people door to door, and after a week, I see them mixing garbage. Then I had to find why are they mixing in spite of awareness. Then the challenge is, okay, we segregate, but the person who collects is mixing. So then I had to, okay, this is a problem. Now, what is the solution for this? I like that. I found the solutions with my failures. But there's one person whom I always think of is Abdul Kalam, who, put that seed in me that, you dare to dream. When I started that segregation and I told that I'll make HSR, everyone in HSR segregate garbage, there are people who laughed at me. There are people who ridiculed, people who commented and made fun, what is that you can do alone? But I dared to dream that day that I will achieve segregation, come what may, what are the challenges, I will do it. And that dream came. And I dreamed 10 years back that, other countries, people fear to throw garbage. People fear to litter. People fear law. I wanted that in my country. So I dreamed that day, people made fun. But still, today, if you see, every day there are penalty drives for garbage, and every day there are penalty drives even in the night happening. So when I dared to dream, that the thought came to me, after reading his books and, interacting with him directly. And that is, he's the role model for me to dare to dream. I dreamed many things which, bigger than me. But still, I could dream and I could achieve them. There are many experiences which, if you dare to dream, it will happen. Through my personal experiences, I have so much to share. And the second inspiration for me was my parents. My parents basically have inculcated that thing of hard work and discipline in me. Till today, my father is 82 years old and he is going strong. He is stronger than me, in fact. So what keeps him upbeat is that take one day, one moment at a time and live life to the purpose. He never sleeps beyond 5 o'clock. He never eats junk. He is like, a person whom I look up to, and he feels proud that, he doesn't feel that my daughter has studied something. We have spent all our efforts in giving her the education so that she'll have a, this life. But now she's doing something else. He feels proud of it. And my mother, who is no more now, she taught us no wasting time. Time is very, very precious. And you have no right to waste. You're on this planet for a purpose. You have no right to kill time. So that from the childhood, continuously she told, even now, if I'm seeing my mobile for a long WhatsApp or something, I don't do time pass, but still, you're killing time. You can do something better, something constructive in that time. So for all the listeners, what I say is time is very precious. So that 24 hours is all that we all have. 24 hours, but put some constructive time for the benefit of others, not only for you, for the benefit of others, and it will come back to you in one or the other way. So my role models are my parents and Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, which continuously whatever lows I go through, I come back because of these.
Dr. Shanti. Dr. Shanti. Sorry. I must say that you are living the phrase Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Could you speak about your friendship with the animal world?
Animal world, in the Vedic tradition, it is taught to us, but we forget often that from an insect to an elephant, every being on this planet is sacred. That God is omnipresent. He is present in every being, every form. But how many of us know how we are abusing the other beings today? Knowingly or unknowingly, we are abusing the other beings. So this is a picture. These are not Google pictures. These are original pictures. So we visit beautiful places to admire nature. But unknowingly, there are people who dump garbage. I have seen with my own eyes, you change the diaper for a baby and just throw it there. In a beautiful place like Ooty, Bandipur and all. See the animals being abused by the garbage we throw every day. Being educated, that's the underlining point. So forget showing love to animals. At least we don't have the right to trouble them like this. And if you see this bird here, see what is there in its stomach. We might not know when we throw, we might not even know where is it landing up. This is a beautiful Versova beach in Mumbai. So every plastic what humans are throwing, it is landing up somewhere or the other, troubling some of the other beings. What right do we have to trouble the beings? Humans are the only ones which feel that we are superior, and we have the right to kill other beings or show the supremacy. We kill other beings. We kill the other beings. We kill the other beings because we show the supremacy sometimes, or for pleasure. Probably there is no other being on this planet which will kill the other being unless its life is threatened or it is very hungry. Humans are the only beings, though not hungry, just to satisfy our pleasures, we kill to show that supremacy. This is very wrong on our part. Because I feel in our education system, the Panchamaha Yajnas are not taught or practiced. Respecting the environment today is the basic duty and responsibility of every person living on this planet. So all the animals which are being troubled are very innocent, but we humans are very intelligent, right? So we should understand this ecosystem can survive without humans, but humans cannot survive without ecosystem. Forget about these. I see many people have dogs as pets, cats as pets. They love their pets, but unknowingly they're troubling the other beings. Having pet is good. Loving them is good, but it's not only your pet or my pet. It is many animals which are being troubled. So in this whole ecosystem, take the small insect which is honeybee. Honeybees today are getting extinct. This is a very simple news maybe for us, but it's very, very dangerous truth that if there are no honeybees, there is no life. Humans cannot live on this planet without those tiny honeybees. Humans are not realizing that we are also the reason for the extinct of the bees. So any being, these are the animals which are visible. The bird is dying, the cow is dying. Recently, I saw one cow which was operated, is a pregnant, operated with 74 kgs of plastic in its stomach. Forget showing the love, show some empathy, show some sympathy towards those animals. How difficult a pregnant cow would have faced 74 kgs of plastic, which humans have thrown and she is eaten. So we think, we know that cow is a sacred animal, but in Vedic tradition, every being is sacred. So I think now we need to respect every being, visible or invisible. So these are all animals which are visible, whether it's cow dying or the elephant or the bird. There are millions of beings which are invisible to us, but which are the reason for us to survive. In this picture, you show the difference between living soil and the dead soil. You know, in the living soil, 1 gram, just 1 gram of the living soil contains millions of microorganisms, bacteria, fungi, protozoa, which are living in that soil and thriving every day and helping us indirectly to live. And if you see the other soil, it is dead soil. There are no beings, there are no microbes. It is almost dead. You can see the difference. So this dead soil is because of humans again. The chemicals, the pesticides, what we put every day is killing the microbial life in the soil. So my love towards other beings is not only the visible beings, but also the invisible beings and the microorganisms. So I love earthworms as my pets. I feed them every day, and we teach this to this generation to create that bond between the other beings. Why is it important that other beings should live happily so that you live happily? You live and let live. You don't have to show the supremacy. You don't have to show the domination that I rule the planet. So when other beings are healthy, only then you can be healthy. When the planet is healthy, only then you can be healthy. So my connection towards other beings is very, whether it is cow or whether it is earthworms, whether it is any animal. Each animal is contributing in its own way to our happiness. Bhuta Yagna is, at the end of the day, be thankful for all that you are. Today you're eating food, you're drinking cup of milk. A calf has sacrificed her mother's milk for you to enjoy the coffee, tea, milk, buttermilk, curd, or whatever. So have you ever felt that, one calf has sacrificed its mother's milk so that I can eat the paneer, what I'm enjoying deliciously? No. Today, human beings think I can afford, I bought the paneer, so I have the right. It's not about buying or affordability. It is about your thankfulness or gratefulness to the beings which are sacrificing themselves for your living. A plant, a living being, a plant should sacrifice itself to become a food in your plate. How many of us feel that gratitude that, today I'm having food, it's because of so many sacrifices, right? So, that thankfulness, that feeling should come within everyone. That's when you will never harm any being.
Amma, we are going to think more about whatever you said for sure. As you said, we are all on this planet for a purpose, and we must raise up to that occasion when the world around us in need. And you have stood as an example for that. So can you tell us about the solid waste management volunteership that you're doing at HSR? And now in the COVID times, even the Corona task force that you have come up with. Can you tell us something about that?
So as Komal told, volunteers basically don't have extra time to do it. It's a heart they have. So my team of volunteers in HSR Citizen Forum have thought the purpose much bigger than themselves. So they have contributed in many ways. We conduct, every third Sunday we have some of the other activities. If you can see the picture below, it is just in the Agra Lake. We have picked up one Sunday. We spent around 2 hours to pick the plastic in Agra Lake. Everyone goes there, jogs there, enjoys the environment, breathes, admire, wow, nice, such a science, and they take selfies, and all that is fine. But how am I contributing to this environment? So in Agra Lake, if you spend 2 hours and collect so much of plastic, imagine if we wouldn't have picked up that plastic and we wouldn't have sent that for recycling, that would be there in that soil for thousands of years, right? So we do a lot of activities. When I joined founded HSR Citizen Forum, I was alone. But believe me, when someone takes the lead, anything, not only HSR Citizen Forum, anything, if someone takes the lead, there are thousands of people who wants to follow and support that. Everyone may not have the idea or strategy to become a leader and plan the events, but definitely if you are one of the person, be it in your college, be it in your school, or be it in your workplace, you take the initiative and take the leadership. There are very good people with good heart to follow and contribute. So multiple activities like Water for Voiceless and all these initiatives we support. We ensure that every third Sunday we are there to do some of the other activities, and students like you can join hands initially to understand how to organize an event, how to participate. First be the participant, and then you can plan to lead the initiatives. There are many youngsters who are leading. Let's Be the Change is one organization where an youngster, Anirudh, is leading a team, motivating the youngsters, college students to take the leads. During this COVID time, minimum what we can do is have a task force team, and there are many people who don't know whom to approach. If you want a bed, they panic. They go into panic and feel, what is that I can do? Whom can I call? At the most, you can know a hospital nearby, a Greenview and Narayana Hospital, but that is not all what is required right now. How to approach the authorities so that you get a bed which is required to you, you're safe. So today a task force is being formed for COVID support, and volunteers, many doctors are there in the team to guide the patients in need and in panic. So there are many initiatives like this HSR Citizen Forum does, and good to see many participants coming forward and helping in some other way. There are people who say that I can contribute my money, my salary, so that I may not be able to participate, but I will give my money so that you can organize something, whether it is PPE kits or whatever, food for ration kits for the poor, whatever. So HSR Citizen Forum has led many such activities.
Amma, post this session, I would request you to spend some time with us and tell how our, our audience here also can be a part of either the HSR Citizen Forum or the COVID task force that you have initiated. But let us move on to learn more about you so that we can get more inspired, Amma. Thank you so much.
Shanti ji, you are known to celebrate eco-friendly festivals, but certain Indian festivals like Deepavali or Ganesha Chaturthi cannot be celebrated without some amount of pollution. Is there a way to go 100% eco-friendly?
Who said it cannot be? There is nothing impossible. I mean, the thing is whether you want it or you need it. You want, many people celebrate, I want crackers, I want the hangama for the, whether you really need, what is the purpose of celebration? What is the purpose of a festival? Every festival in our Hindu calendar has a purpose of celebrating it in that particular month, in that particular way. So in time, we have somehow lost the purpose of celebrating. I'm glad that chicks students have gone, if they have gone through Bal Vihar, every festival celebration, it's taught that why it is celebrated, how it has to be celebrated in many ways. So, but many today don't know the purpose of celebrating that particular festival and the way to celebrate. So, according to me, God is not, for me, it is God is nature. Nature is God. If you celebrate Ganesha Chaturthi according to your affordability and ability to spend money, for example, they do it in Mumbai, they do it in Hyderabad, where every year they challenge themselves to increase the size of the Ganesha. Right? If that is the way of celebration, you are disrespecting God. Right? For me, basically, God is nature. If it's simple, forget festivals. If you take flowers in a plastic cover to a temple, for me, it is disrespect to God. I don't mind not going to temple rather than feeding that plastic to the cow and killing that cow. So nature is God. God is nature. So every festival can be celebrated in eco-friendly way. I want students to understand the purpose. Our ancestors, our parents, elders celebrated all the festivals. They didn't compromise in any ways. They did celebrate all the festivals. They did have gatherings, but not by abusing this planet or environment. They had a beautiful way of celebrating. There's nothing today, every celebration. For me, the thing is, any celebration or any festival, any event, my heart beats. Oh my God! I imagine the amount of garbage which is created. So inculcating that purpose of the festival and how to, I'm glad these days schools are also educating students on how to celebrate eco-friendly Diwali and eco-friendly Ganesh Chaturthi. I'm glad, but somehow this generation of ours has missed. I don't remember anything of such sort taught in my childhood of eco-friendly festivals. That time we didn't even know. Somehow one generation has skipped learning the right thing in between our ancestors and in between you people. There's one generation which has totally skipped the purpose of the right way of celebrating the festivals. I am glad students like you are learning the right way of celebrating eco-friendly festivals. It is very, very much possible. Only thing, you understand the difference between I want it or I need it.
Amma, going more towards the nature is something we are all working on, like you said, whether or not with respect to festivals. So you have started this initiative of the Swachhagraha Kalika Kendra at our HSR layout. It is such a novel idea. So can you tell us about that, and how did that idea spring?
There are two places which I feel everyone should visit. One is a landfill, one is a Kalika Kendra. So one is a landfill to understand the misery, and one is Kalika Kendra to understand what is the right thing that we have to do. So there are a lot of students, corporates, elected representatives coming every day to Kalika Kendra to learn about what is that we are doing. Basically, in Kalika Kendra, what we teach is there are different ways of composting. People throw away waste every day. We take that waste. The BBMP vehicle brings 1.5 to 2 tons of waste to Kalika Kendra. We convert that into black gold. We convert that into manure, but it is not about converting. It is about training people. Why is it important that you have to convert your wet waste to manure and give back to soil? Today, all the resource we are dumping and throwing in the landfills, but why is it important and how? There are two things. One is why, the second is how. First, if you understand why you have to compost, then we'll teach also how to compost. So every day we convert 1.5 tons of waste into compost, and we also show how to grow the vegetables there. Children like you may not have seen, many may not have seen how a bitter gourd grows, how a pumpkin grows, how a rich gourd grows. We just buy in the supermarket and we have. But how is the climber looks? How does it look? How does from the seed, imagine we get a beautiful vegetable onto your plate. So all that is taught there. How to compost is taught, how to grow is taught, and how is that you can contribute towards the environment is taught. And workshops are conducted there every month. Last Sunday, there's a workshop on how to compost and how to start your own urban garden. So not only students, there are many IAS officers. If someone is appointed as a commissioner to any city or any place, they visit Bangalore to learn the best practices. And the head office of BBMP sends them to Kalika Kendra to learn what is to be done. So this is what we do in Kalika Kendra. All our volunteers spend together time community gardening, and we grow vegetables. We enjoy every moment there. So must visit for all of you.
How can we extend the Kalika Kendra into our homes with respect to waste segregation and disposal? Also, we're very excited about the 2-bin 1-bag system that you have organized. Could you please tell us about that?
Yeah, this Kalika Kendra is one such dream. I told you, dare to dream. One such dream which people thought it is not possible, because a BBMP park being converted into a learning center. Nowhere in the country we have a school kind of a thing to teach about waste management. Waste management ke liye one school, is it required? That was a thought initially. But then as thousands of people visited, they learn and they give the feedback that they needed this. How Kalika Kendra can go. Swachhagraha is one campaign. Swachhagraha. Swachha is clean. Graha is planet. To have a clean planet, what is that you have to do? That waste, half kg or 1 kg from your house, has to be converted into manure and feed the soil. When I say feed the soil, I showed you a picture of living soil. So there are microbes thriving and waiting for you to feed them. What is that they're asking? The waste you convert into manure and feed the soil, and they give us food. Right? This Swachhagraha campaign, the thought came to us in, Lal Bahadur Shastri ji during our freedom fight. There was a lot of, I don't know how many of you are aware of this history, lot of scarcity for food. Right? So he called the nation, he gave a call saying, everyone sacrifice one meal in a day. Everyone supported, came across, joined hands, that patriotism of, serving my nation. If I skip one meal, it's not about me. It's about lakhs of people skipping one meal. It makes a lot of difference, and have the poor have the food. So from that revolution came the idea of Swachhagraha. So what we say is, for 1 week, you hold on to your wet waste and compost. 1 week. Rest 3 weeks, you can give it to the BBMP, you can give it to the municipality. 1 week, if everyone in Bangalore holds on to the wet waste and compost that waste, imagine the impact. Small from everyone, it makes a huge difference, right? So when it comes to your house, what can I do? So 2-bin 1 bag is also a revolutionary movement, which is simple to follow. But previous picture, Komal. Yeah, if you see this picture, the woman lost her finger. This is not a Google picture. I met her directly and I took the picture. She lost her finger just because we give the mixed garbage. They put their hands to segregate. The broken bottle in our waste has injured her finger and she lost her finger. She's just an example. There are many Paura Karmikas who are working for us and losing lives because of our irresponsible behavior. See that person standing. One such incident only has changed my life, I told you. That person is standing in the garbage and trying to pick something from our mixed garbage. And these are the children staying around Mandur. See the suffering what they have, but still a smile on their face. It's all because of our irresponsible acts. Now, a simple thing of 2-bin 1 bag is all that you have to follow. Every household should have 2 bins and 1 bag. 2 bins, 1 green bin for your kitchen waste. That bin has to be in your kitchen, and all that you eat, all that which has come from nature, be it onion peels look dry, but still have come from nature, it goes to the green bin. The groundnut shells, everything what nature has given and we are eating and consuming, everything goes to a green bin. That has to go back to soil whatsoever. It is a food for millions of organisms there. So all that you have to do is put your wet waste into the green bin and dry waste into the bag. Why bag? there is a lot of thought process which went into this. Why bag? Because you can order a Kellogg's, you can order a pizza, you can order a burger, you eat Kellogg's, whatever, that carton boxes will not fit into the dustbin. That's why we decided a bag for dry waste. So our dry waste should be very, very clean, right? If it is clean, it can be stored in the dry waste collection center for a month and it can go for recycling. It's very, 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 very important the dry waste goes for recycling, not to the landfills. Because if we don't recycle this dry waste, we are removing the virgin material, because plastics and everything has come from the fossil fuels, right? It's a plastic product, the petroleum product. So if you don't recycle, then we have to remove the virgin material, the fossil fuels, which will get exhausted and the next generation will not have. That's why recycling is very important. Recycling happens only if you give the clean dry waste. And the red bin is for reject waste. That's only 5%, which is your sanitary pads, diapers, the band-aids, domestic hazardous, I call them. The shaving blade or, leftover medicine, nails, all that which cannot be reused or recycled comes into this reject waste. So this reject waste is hardly 5% in your house. But very important that you should not ignore and mix that with your wet and dry waste. This wet waste is 60 to 65%, dry waste is 30 to 35%. Totally 95% of your waste is an amazing resource. If you mix it, it is called garbage. If you segregate this way, 2 bin 1 bag way, 95% of your waste goes for a purpose. Wet waste for composting and dry waste for recycling. It's only 5% which is called garbage. Just missing this simple logic of 2 bin 1 bag, many municipalities and many panchayats are getting challenged with the mixed garbage. Simple way of 2 bin 1 bag, color coded. How a traffic signal looks. Green for go and red for stop. Whichever city you go, when you see the red in the traffic signal, you stop. Red is for hazardous, green is for environment, so the organic, and the bag. It's a simple rule that every municipality can just replicate and follow. And this 2 bin 1 bag, lakhs and lakhs of people are following today. And you can immediately from today start if you're not doing it already.
Definitely, Amma. I remember us getting pamphlets at HSR about the 2 bin 1 bag system many years ago, and even one red colored dustbin and a green colored dustbin which came along with it. So ensuring chemical free farming in our gardens and taking care of the waste segregation is definitely going to bring about some change, and definitely in our health too. And now, speaking about health, your initiatives towards sustainable menstruation is the need of the hour. And I have myself experienced that change, and we want you to speak more about it, Amma. Please share it with us.
As I told you, the red bin, that 5% of the reject waste, it's not there in my house for the reason that we don't generate sanitary waste because it has no destination. It's not only that it has no destination, the sanitary pads, the sustainable menstruation, what we say because we did a pilot project in HSR layout, and we found that HSR alone generates 650 to 700 kgs of sanitary waste per day. It sounds very scary that HSR alone generates so much. Imagine the city of Bangalore. So sanitary pads basically, or diapers, were not there before. We were not grown up with diapers. My parents never used diapers for us, I'm sure. But the culture of disposables has come from Western countries, and we feel it's so comfortable that just use and throw without knowing where is it going. It's not only harmful for the environment, it's harmful for us also. I'll tell you how. Everyone should know this. It's not only girls that you have to understand. Every person, whether it is a man or a boy, should understand because it is related to you. So each sanitary pad has so much of chemicals in it. It is bleached. It is having a thin layer of polypropylene under, polyethylene under, and super absorbent gels, which are harmful for every woman who is using that. Why is this culture entered our lives? because the markets kept saying that cloth is very dangerous, cloth causes infection, this is very healthy. You know, they started doing advertisements saying it's pavang kind of a thing when a girl is not having the access to sanitary pads. It is utter nonsense, I say. Our ancestors, my grandparents, my parents taught me using a cloth. Cloth is not that what causes infection or cancer. The taboo behind, the topic that, you cannot dry the cloth in the sunlight. You should hide it. It is a secret thing that nobody should know that a girl has a period. That taboo has brought all the problems in our lives. The sun is a natural sanitizer, the best sanitizer we can get. Just dry the cloth in the sun. We are wearing clothes. We are waiting. Are we getting any infections or cancers? No. So cloth is not per se which cause infections. The taboo that it has to be hidden. It has to be something which is we have to hide. That has created problems, and the market is now bombarded with disposable culture. Just use and throw it without knowing where is it going. Each sanitary pad stays on the planet for 500 to 800 years. Imagine all the girls using sanitary pad. The pad you dispose today is on the planet for 500 to 800 years. Imagine how many generations. So, not only that, there are many people who will flush down the sanitary pad into the toilet. I have seen a man dying, getting down into the drain, trying to clean the choked drain. There are PGs, there are apartments where the drains are choked majorly because of this. When they try to clean that, unfortunately in our country, it's still humans who are entering the drains and trying to clean. So I saw a person dying in my neighborhood when he tried to enter the drain. Are we not abusing not only environment, other beings also because of this? Is there no alternative? There is alternative. So this cloth pad is what my daughter uses. This is a sanitary waste which I have shown in HSR layout, 650 kgs to 700 kgs per day. So if you see what all in a pad, it is shown here. The alternatives are the cloth pads and the menstrual cups. So the students who are interested can contact me directly to know more about this. But every person attending the session here should know that there is some alternative, which are very, very safe for not only environment, for you. So my daughter uses this and I use this. So there are best alternatives and options which we have to opt and we have to change. It is a need of the hour. It is not a choice where it's like need of the hour that we have to change.
We, as Indians, are known for our weddings of grandeur. We even see the large amounts of food and flowers and elements that are wasted in our in the weddings, in the functions. How do we keep this under control and make it eco-friendly?
I'm glad that we have taken a U-turn. We have reached a tip of the iceberg and we have taken a U-turn because it's a need. Our ancestors never had celebrations which caused garbage. In between, we created the problem, and not only weddings, be it a small birthday party, be it a small gathering, we generate so much of garbage. So after the event, we just put everything wrap up in a black garbage cover and keep it outside without knowing where is it going. Believe me, all that is going to a landfill. All that is being eaten by animals. So any celebration, be it a festival, be it a birthday party or wedding, all that we have to understand is our ancestors did in an eco-friendly way without harming the planet. We also can do it, right? I ask people, you do Satnarayan Puja at home, you give you give lunch for 100 people, and then you generate one truckload of garbage. Which God is going to bless you? Why do Satnarayan Puja? Why trouble the planet? Our ancestors did festivals, celebrations. They used to have lunch on a plantain leaf. That's healthy also, not only for the environment, for the human beings also. Today, the disposable culture has entered our lives and spoiled us totally. Disposable culture don't demand any effort. You want to use a steel glass, you need to wash, clean, and keep. You use a plastic glass, you just dispose, just throw it. without knowing where is it going. So disposable culture has entered our lives. All of you, if you want a celebration, you have to, I mean, there are many event organizers who can plan your wedding in a green way. There are event organizers who can plan your birthday party in a green way. So all these are entrepreneurs who have come up, everyone need not be only service oriented, sacrificing their life to do service. There are a lot of entrepreneur opportunities in this sustainable living. There are people who have come up as event organizers. You may want to do your wedding in your house an eco-friendly way, but you may not know how to do it. There are event planners to help you right from planning your wedding invitation till the end of the event. So there are many videos which our Vanimuthi's son's wedding was. There are many people in our team who have celebrated. Recently, there was one festival, Ganesha Chaturthi, where 10,000 people were given food in an eco-friendly way. Zero garbage was generated. We instructed everyone to take what they want to eat, and you can have another serving, but not to waste food. One thing. Second one, in Bangalore, we have a lot of steel banks. Have you heard of steel banks?
Yes,
You all
yes,
must
yes.
have heard of IDBI Bank, HSBC Bank, or whatever. But Steel Bank is something innovative from Bangalore. Steel Bank is something where you can deposit some amount and get all the steel cutlery you want, whether it is plates, bowls, spoons, how many ever you want. You have 1,000 guests in your house, you can borrow the steel cutlery. After the celebration of the event, you give back that cutlery and take your deposit back. So these are amazing thoughts which have come forward to help people to have a sustainable and eco-friendly celebrations. So 10,000 people had food. Every year they used to park 2 trucks just to load the garbage. And the person who is organizing it, we convinced that person that we will stand by and support you, but have it an eco-friendly way. He agreed, and those 2 trucks were not there at all. That night, it was so satisfying for me that, we stopped sending 2 trucks of garbage to landfills. So every day is fulfilling when you convince a person to do the good. And next year, we don't have to convince him because he has seen the impact. So my effort every day is like convincing people to have celebrations eco-friendly way. Never mind, my celebration is important for me. It has to be grand. I don't mind wasting because I can afford to waste. It is not your money. It is an universal resource which you don't have the right to waste.
Moving towards a more eco-friendly celebration, I think it would also give us a lot more satisfaction when we think about the guilt of sending waste into the landfills, Amma. Now the entire world has seen a tremendous change. We are all in the world itself has taken a turn now where it is essential for each one of us to step up and take an action towards what is happening around us. So with respect to the COVID-19 scenario, can you tell us about the initiatives at HSR Citizen Forum and your other initiatives?
So during the first wave of COVID, it is more about giving the masks and PPE kits and groceries and vegetables and helping farmers. The first wave was all about helping the farm because it was a sudden lockdown and it was, a big challenge in farmers' lives. I still feel the way they spoke to us after the lockdown and how they, for example, there was a grape farmer who has invested his lifetime savings in his grape gardening, and imagine a sudden lockdown and it is a perishable product, right? So we helped many farmers like that, tomato farmers, grape farmers, all the vegetable farmers to bring their produce and organize a stall where people can buy, come and in a playground, which is huge ground in near Nandini Cool Joint. People could maintain the social distance, yet buy directly from the farmers. And we also connected them to the apartments where it's a twofold advantage. One, the farmers have happily sold their product without wasting, and the apartment guys got their product at the doorstep directly from the farmer. So the farmers, if you people wouldn't have helped us in this point of time, we would have given up the hopes on life. That was what farmers expressed. So helping the farmers, helping the apartments or communities get together and buy, that is one thing. Second thing is giving the grocery kits to the Paurakarmikas who, for me, during COVID, more than people, I feel pity for the Paurakarmikas. It is a choice for us whether we want to go out or stay safe at home. It's a choice. If you're going out, you have by choice taken the risk of going out. But for Paurakarmikas, my soft corner is always towards these Paurakarmikas who come to your doorstep to pick your garbage every day. It is not a choice for them, it is their life. So never, especially during second wave, then they don't know which house has a COVID positive patient, right? They pick up the garbage and every day, 4 to 5 hours, they are at high risk. After the doctors, it is only Paurakarmikas who are at high risk for this COVID. So try and help them in any way that you can. I have seen tears in their eyes during the last situation, last COVID lockdown. People used to shoo them away. They used to ask for water because summer it was, lockdown was during summer and they used to ask water. No, you okay, good. What happens? You just keep the bottle there, they'll drink and let the bottle be there till evening. You always have ways to help people. Just don't think me and my family, think beyond that and have them, there are also humans who give them some water to drink and, some food to eat. It's fine. You're not going to die with that. And the second thing is right now, the second wave is very different from the first wave. We have been helping more on the allocating the beds and ensuring that they get the medicines required or the guidance on who is the doctor to be consulted, what is the number to be dialed to get a bed and all this. And during this COVID time, this 1 year, I had been to Telangana multiple times and we could set right the solid waste management in Telangana, Siddipet. That's a proud thing for me because COVID is something which my family also worried that I'm going out traveling and all that. But the impact what I have created gives me satisfaction in spite of if something would have happened to me, it would have happened. But fortunately, I feel I am protected by some force in the universe. Believe it or not, I always believe strongly that you are for a bigger goal, bigger purpose, not for selflessly or aiming at something bigger. There is definitely a universal power which is protecting you. The way I traveled extensively to bring that change in Siddipet, work with the Paurakarmikas there, traveled in train, all that. In spite of all that, I was not infected. I somehow feel there is some universal force which is protecting me, and successfully I could achieve this Siddipet project that garbage is not going to landfill. And so these are my COVID challenges which we took up.
That was very inspiring, huh? I'm sure our audience has a lot of questions for you. Let's move on to the questions of the audience now.
Thank you, Arjun and Suhasini. Thank you, ma'am, for inspiring us with your thoughts and initiatives for a beautiful living. I hope you're ready to take up a few questions. The session is now open to the audience. So someone's asking if there can be any online workshop for generating compost at home. We could organize as such something like that.
So every month, last Sunday, we have a workshop in Kalika Kendra for composting. But from the last 1 month, April, we had an online live session by our Worm Rani Vanimurthy and Meenakshi Arun for growing. So we talk about composting and also growing. You can attend, mark your calendar on the last Sunday of the month. We will definitely have it. How will you get the notification? You can follow HSR Citizen Forum on the Facebook. So I want all of you to attend one online session at least and start composting at home and start growing in your balconies.
Thank you. Next, these lot of us used to disposable culture and of food. So what is the impact on health and environment?
I think this question was before the session. I don't know what time it was posted. I clearly told about the impact on health and environment of disposable culture. I'll tell you one simple example. You get a parcel, online food you order. It's very simple. At one finger press, you get food ordered online. It will come in a curry will come in a plastic like this or a parcel like this. I'll tell you one point which will make you realize and never order online. You know what? One day I saw one dump of garbage in one place. Tried a lot of investigation to find who has dumped it. And I found it was on 19th May. There was one cooking place where Zomato, Swiggy, all these guys would come and pick the parcel and go. So we went in search to penalize him for throwing garbage. For my shock, I was literally shocked. It took me some hours to come out of that. We didn't penalize him for throwing the garbage. We shut down the whole unit because the unhygienic conditions what they're cooking in, there were cockroaches crawling everywhere. He was grinding the thing and cockroaches crawling everywhere. The food parcel boxes had stacked up. They had stacked up the food parcel boxes and the cockroaches crawling everywhere. Imagine the hygiene of food what we are eating. And second thing, the hot food is packed in this. Unknowingly, some amount of plastic is being leached into this, which is not visible for us. Any parcel for that matter, you order hot food, when it comes in contact with plastic, it is directly cancer. You eat hot food in plastic today, you might not get cancer tomorrow. But in the long run, you realize there is a tumor. You may not even know the reason for it directly. But these are the small mistakes we do every day and accumulating that plastic in our stomach. So direct impact on health is this example, and indirectly it is being landfilled, it is being burnt, and the dioxin, what we inhale, plastic burning releases dioxins. Dioxins is the number one human carcinogens. So we are inhaling that day in and day out. So disposable culture is something which we have to give up. It is not our tradition. Our culture, our tradition doesn't encourage disposables at all. Be it a handkerchief. You know, my father always used a handkerchief. My mom always used to carry a handkerchief. Today, tissues has become a culture. Why? When I see people having lunch in the restaurant, I see them taking a tissue every 5 minutes and wipe it and throw it. Because two things. One, tissue is given free there. It is not costed. If it had costed 1 rupee, a person wouldn't have used. One is free. Second thing, not knowing where is it coming from. Trees are being chopped for you to get the tissue. Why is it required? Every person should have a habit of carrying a hanky along. That is a culture which our parents have taught. But somehow this disposable culture from the Western have occupied us and took it to the dangerous levels of now everyone is screaming, climate change, climate change, climate change. All the mistakes what we have done. So get rid of disposable culture in any form. I can tell you 100 examples. See, we buy groceries in this. This is a bag which you students can get as a holiday homework, bag with strings for groceries. Take these bags, 2 kgs, 3 kgs, 5 kgs sizes and buy groceries in this. Who told you to buy in a supermarket? In the name of branding, we generate so much of plastic, right? So these are the things which you can change in your life.
Thank you, Amma. Next question being asked is how to dispose e-waste.
E-waste is very important these days, and the future challenge is e-waste. We are generating a lot of e-waste than we imagine, today, because everything is related to technology, and the humongous quantity of e-waste what we are generating is a next major challenge for the nation, for the world. So right now, e-waste for you all, it can go in the dry waste. Because in the dry waste collection center, all the dry waste which you are giving in a bag is being secondarily segregated. Milk packets go alag, say bottle go alag, metal go alag, glass bottle go alag. In that, they will separate the e-waste and send it to e-Parisara for scientific recycling. So the dangers of e-waste is very simple. You know, one day I saw a woman burning lot of wires. I could smell since for a very long half-kilometer. I could smell that. I searched and went in my neighborhood and found one woman burning these wires. The stench was so horrible. Then I understood what is she trying to do. She's trying to melt the plastic around the wire and try to remove the copper wire to sell that and make some money. Imagine the toxic gases which we are inhaling because of that simple act. So e-waste, if not given responsibly to a dry waste collection center, it will land up in wrong places like this.
Thank you, ma'am. Next question. How to dispose of broken glass?
Broken glass or good glass, glass is a wonderful product which can be recycled infinite number of times. For example, if you may think this bottle can be recycled, right? But it has a life cycle. It cannot be recycled any number of times you want. The PET bottles or the PET water bottles or these bottles can be recycled into fleece, right? After that, what? The fleece can downcycle 1 or 2 cycles. But glass is a wonderful material which can be recycled into glass infinite number of times. So whether it is a broken glass and a normal glass, you should give along with the dry waste, but they will get injured. So wrap the broken glass in a newspaper and hand it over separately, telling him that this is a broken glass. Then he will take it separately and give it for recycling.
Wants to ask where exactly Kendra located and what time will
Can I interrupt once, if you don't mind, Sushmita? Quite a few people are inquiring about where Kali Kendra is, when they can kind of attend online sessions. I think those questions, we will prepare some kind of a write-up and make sure we mail it across to everybody. I think Srinidhi, Kiniji, and a few others have been asking. So that information, we will definitely send it across. So just pick up the questions, which are another 1 or 2 questions, Sushmita, because I think we are running low on time.
Running out of time, yes. So there's one question, as in not a question, maybe. There's someone who's Mr. Swaroop. He is pursuing his electrical engineering and along with his friends, and he's working on a project that is to build 3D printed houses using recycled waste plastic. And he wanted to know if this is a good idea, as there is a lot of questions about how strong plastic is, and he thinks this could be totally environment friendly because he's recycling plastic to build houses.
Plastic is a wonderful material. It's a wonderful, product which has come out, because there's no material lighter than that. There's no material which is easy to carry or transport. Many advantages plastic have, but unfortunately it has become a monster because of our disposable culture. I don't say every plastic is bad. The chair which I'm sitting now is plastic, right? So every plastic is not bad. All that you use once and throw is bad. So whatever goes, for example, our dustbins have come from a recycled plastic. So I cannot say plastic is bad. All that I can say is anything which you use once and throw it is bad. So plastic can be recycled in many ways. In Kalika Kendra, the sheets, what we have a cow in Kalika Kendra, by the way. We have a cow shed. The sheets on top which we used is from a recycled plastic. So recycled sheets are good. Today it has become a trend that we construct bathrooms, we construct storerooms, we construct sheds for people to live with the recycled plastic. So it is good to recycle the plastic and repurpose it to many things. But underlining statement is, just because it can be recycled, it cannot be used so much. The reason is, it can be recycled, true, but how much percentage of the plastic which is generated is recycled? If I tell you the percentage, you will get a shock. It is only 14% of plastics which are being manufactured are going for recycling. The rest is not going for recycling. So recycling of plastic is good into this outdoor and indoor multi-purpose things, be it a growing pots, be it a furniture to sit, be it the rooms to build. It's a good future to recycle the plastic into multiple things, but doesn't mean that we can use plastic as we want.
Okay, thank you, Amma. I think there's a little time constraint, so we can pause with the questioning session. So if anyone is interested in getting your questions answered, you can kindly message your questions to the person who has sent you the invite, and we will make sure that Shanti Amma will answer these questions and get back at the earliest. So thank you, Amma, for creating such awareness and engaging with us on an essential aspect of making us realize the importance of being a responsible citizen today. So as we say, we are required to follow the 3 Rs which we have been learning since our school days: reducing, reusing, and recycling. So as you said, knowledge is not enough, you must apply. Willing is not enough, you must do. So I now invite Mr. Gautam to present the vote of thanks. Over to you.
Can I just interrupt? I don't know if we'll have enough time, so I just wanted to interrupt and say a major thanks to Dr. Shanti for accepting our invite. My talk was not scheduled, but I am so touched. I had goosebumps when I heard you talk about the wonderful things and how irresponsible we guys can end up being. It's just not this thing. Outside my door is someone else's rubbish. We don't care about it. Unfortunately, a very sad state of things. Hopefully we have learned from this, and the extra questions that we get, Dr. Shanti, we will pass it on to you. Truly, HSR and whole of Bangalore, we are very proud of you, and wonderful opportunity for each one of us to listen to what you have told us today. Thank you.
Before vote of thanks, I want 1 minute. After we listen to something, there should be a goal. What is that I can do? What is my goal? Find that I have heard all of this as an information. At the end of the day, I should not be forgetting it. Right? Many of the times it happens. We get information bombarded, but then what can I do? I cannot do anything. So I would like to give you 3 goals. 3 goals to each one who attended today. The one is, because the Sustainable Developmental Goals, I don't know whether you have heard of it or not, United Nations members, all the country members have kept these goals for 2030 to achieve this. Sustainability is a key word in that, where health is taken a major role. Forget about Sustainable Development Goals given for the countries to strive. For us, I would like to have 3 goals. First one is, all of you should start composting. I'm sure, I'm assuming that all of you are segregating. By assuming you're segregating, all of you should start composting. Composting has a lot of videos, a lot of guidance from known persons. Compost your waste and grow your greens at least. Don't grow all the vegetables. Try to grow greens. You're not doing any favor to the environment. You're not doing any favor to the BBMP. By growing, you're doing favor to yourself. Because today, the vegetables what we're eating is full of pesticides. At least grow greens in your balcony. A very simple task. For all the students, I wish, the science projects would be like this. Visit to a landfill, visit farmers to know how difficult it is to grow food. So now in the lockdown, you have a lot of time. Please start composting and growing in your balconies. A simple palak is an easy thing to grow. Methi seeds are in your kitchen. Just put methi seeds, you'll have methi. Just pick from the balcony and do methi paratha. The satisfaction what you have, you'll not get by buying it. One is compost and grow. Second is ditch the disposables. Be a conscious consumer. Do I really need this or can I skip? There will be a lot of fun from your friends or whatever, that you refuse to drink in a paper cup, you refuse to drink in a plastic glass, you refuse a water bottle disposable. Pledge to yourself that you are not taking any single-use disposables henceforth. Be a conscious consumer. Third thing, our Chinmaya Mission pledge always says, give more than what you take, right? So think what you're taking and give more. wherever it is possible to contribute, what is in for me, don't think that way. An hour or two in a week for the environment, for something which you don't get anything back, but you contribute. So this is what I want. And if you want to go to a nearby shop, cycle or go by, walk. Don't go on a bike or car. Life is not about affordability. Life is future about sustainability. Everyone today can afford a water bottle. No, take your own water bottle wherever you go and cycle more, walk more, don't use bikes. In my house, it's always a fight whether to have an AC or not. I have not installed an AC for the reason that children should not get used to this idea of affordability. I can afford an AC, but no, we planted a tree near the balcony, it gives to the bedroom. Automatically it is cooling. If you use an AC, how much heat you're generating and climate change. So conscious consumer, don't think that you can afford. Sustainability is what you have to think. 3 goals.
Thank you, Amma. Indeed, we will surely follow the 3 goals, and by 2030, with our contribution as an individual, we'll surely reach the SDG, Sustainable Goal Development. Off to you, Gautam, for the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Sushmita. Thank you so much, Dr. Shanti. It's been a wonderful opportunity and privilege for all of us to listen to you today. By the grace of Pujya Gurudev and Swami Brahmananda Ji, the program has gone on successfully. It has been truly inspiring. I'm seeing your passion and having this conversation with yourself. I'm sure we've all learned something new today, and you've inspired us all to take the correct actions so we can continue looking after the environment and keep the country clean. Chik also HSR and Koramangala will be planning many more such events in the near future. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel Chinmaya Mission Koramangala. And also a special thanks to all the audience who were able to attend today. It wouldn't have happened without you guys. So thank you so much. And also a special interview, and look forward to seeing everyone next time.
Thank you, Gautam, and thank you all for being a part of this wonderful interview session. I now request Ms. Nandana to present the closing prayer. Nandana, the closing prayers, please.
She's chanting, but we can't hear.
Just go on, I think. Neeta, finish it off. Just do after, I think. Yeah. Okay. Let one of us just do it and finish it, because the call will end otherwise. Neeta, both of us, or you can do it. Yeah.
Neeta Didi.
Sarve santu niramayaha, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhave. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.